Instagram's working. Instagram's working. I think.
Sweet.
Amazing.
All right. I think we're on, guys.
Yeah, we're on. Yeah, I can see it now on Instagram.
What?
Well done, you.
I have figured out massive things today. So yes. All right, everybody. Welcome to the TCCW live. We are now streaming on YouTube and Instagram. So exciting. I have no idea how to follow anybody's comments or anything, so we're just going to roll with it. Today we have Max German, and we have Mark, and I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, love, your last name.
You're okay. Just call me Mark. So much easier.
That's yeah. Okay, that's how I am with people spelling my name. I'm like, yeah, it's this, whatever. All right, so this is impromptu. We have no specific discussions as far as any topics that are mandatory. We just kind of go off the fly and go from there. Do either of you have any topics that are of major interest?
I'd like to start with one.
Yes.
So I don't know if you haven't seen at the moment. There's a sports star in the world at the moment that's promoting Ozempic at the moment. I just want to know you guys' thoughts. This woman has been in the sports game for over 20 years. She's come out many times saying that she struggled with her weight for such a long time. And now she's endorsing these injections, and not only endorsing them, or I think her husband has a say in it as well. So what's your guys' thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think it's it's certainly not ideal, especially with the great influence that she has. We have no idea what Ozempic can do long term. Like first and foremost, that right there is the big problem. When you don't know what something can do long term, it's very hard to have confidence when you promote it. So, from her perspective, I'm not too sure how she can, get behind a product like that. That's what I think.
What about you, Selena?
I have to say it's probably one of the more disappointing things for her to come out and be standing behind, and not just standing behind, but also profiting from. As somebody who has such a massive influence on women, specifically around the world, and these young girls, not that it doesn't affect everybody, but she is such a role model for a lot of these teenage athletes that are trying to come up into the same, world. And for you to be promoting something like you said, Max, that we don't even know what the effects are going to be for this product. We don't even know what that's going to look like 10, 15, 20 years down the line, and what else it affects, let alone all of the damage that we already are familiar with that have already happened with this particular medication, with this injection. So I have to say I'm highly disappointed. For sure. I don't know what happened to Mark, if he's coming back.
The camera's gone. Not here. Are we definitely live on Instagram? I just clicked on your profile and it's not saying.
It would actually be coming live from the carnivore community. So if you're not following us there, that might be why you don't see it there. But yeah, so we're no longer shooting it from my personal account anymore. We're finally converting it over specifically to the community page. So I get a little of my own identity back on my page.
Good to see Mark's back. We missed you, Mark.
It was so long. We weren't sure how we were going to go on.
No, I was just going to add, are you finished talking about the Selena, or are you going to continue talking about it?
No, I'm done, love. You can go ahead.
Oh, no. So for me, like you, Selena, I think it's just very, very disappointing that I followed this woman for a long time. I'm a big tennis fan. I'm actually a fan of her sister as well. And these two dominated tennis for such a long time. And it's such a pity now we have such a big influencer in the world that's promoting this. That's the one thing that's really annoying me. I don't care what people do in their own life. Like what you do with your health is your choice. But the biggest problem I have is who you're actually explaining it to. And she has over 1.2 million. She's worth a lot of money. She doesn't need any money. Like surely she should do better than this. And this comes back to the argument about carbohydrates. Like this woman, as I'm pretty sure she had the best dietitians and nutritionists, everybody looking after her.
Yeah.
And she could never get it right. And she's come out last week saying that she struggled with foodness. She said this herself. She said she struggled with an eating disorder. She could never get it right. Her weight would always fluctuate. She could never get it weight on the weighing scales. And this is the argument that we're having with a lot of people in the world at the moment, because everybody's just focusing on weight loss. That's all we're seeing at the moment. Every PT that you talk to on social media, it's like, okay, it's weight loss, weight loss, weight loss. Everything's based on the law of thermodynamics. A calorie is just a calorie in these people's eyes. And we're focusing on the wrong message.
Exactly.
We really are.
100%.
People don't understand that they have a problem in the first place. Now, all three of us can agree that no matter what diet you're on, we can all agree that the first thing we should be eliminating is processed food, no matter what diet you're on. But people need to understand also that if you're addicted to a food, like if you can't give up a certain food, which is carbohydrates, we need to understand that this is an addiction. And these foods convert also to sugar in the body, and they're also harmful to the body also.
Yeah.
And this is what people don't understand. So it's like, okay, well, where are we going wrong here? Are we in the wrong here, or are the people that are actually telling us, who's talking about low fat, high fiber, high protein, eat carbohydrates in moderation, eat processed food in moderation? This is what we're listening to at the moment. This is what we've been listening to the last 50 years. And people are still listening to this advice. So even though we have a major health crisis at the moment, we have a huge obesity crisis at the moment, nobody seems to have the answers, because the answer we're told is these weight loss injections. If you're a diabetic, you need to be on metformin. There's no cure. There's nothing we can do about this. I only had a guy on my Instagram today telling me that an egg causes type 2 diabetes. Like, this is just, it's insane. And then when you look at the comments, people are saying like, this guy is right. I'm like, holy shit, like this is, I honestly, I don't know what to say. I just don't know what to say.
The world's lost it. The whole everything in moderation is the greatest message for the food industry that's ever been pushed. You know, like when you give someone a little bit of this thing that just gives them so much pleasure, so much dopamine, and you tell them to try and moderate it, it's borderline impossible. You know, imagine we had drug dealers going around giving everyone a little bit of free drugs every day and said, no, guys, don't want any more. Just have a little bit, you'll be right. It's basically the equivalent. And all these dietitians, you know, who are big food puppets, essentially, they go get their degree. 99% of the studies they read during their degree are funded by big food.
Exactly.
And, you know, what are those studies going to find? They come
100%.
out, guys, everything in moderation, balanced diet. No other animal on the planet has a balanced diet, but we humans, we definitely need it, essential for optimal health. And then people come out, it's unhealthy if you avoid certain foods, you have an eating disorder. They eat a little bit of this processed food, well, they try to. Next thing you know, they're well overweight. They go see their local personal trainer, and he tells them, you know what, guys, just cut back on the processed food a little bit. He's out of shape himself. You know, most gyms I go to, I look around, personal trainers need personal trainers. So it's a great scam, and it's profited them billions, and, you know, decimated the health of humanity, unfortunately.
100%. 100%. And I was one of these people. I went to nutrition school over 25 years ago. I studied all this. I spent a fortune on this to get to college and learn everything that I needed to know about nutrition. So I did this, and I used to coach this to so many people. I used to put these people on a low-calorie diet, a high-fat diet. I used to get these people doing lots of cardio, and the damage I was doing to these people. And every time they got back to me and said to me, like, Mark, I'm losing the weight, but I can't. But why am I on this medication? Why am I pre-diabetic? Why am I in pain? Why am I getting these mid-afternoon crashes? And I hadn't got a clue. I hadn't got a clue how to answer these questions. I was like, okay, you're better off going to an expert. Go to see a doctor, or go and see somebody else that'll actually help you. When I look back at it now, the amount of people I could have helped properly was just a waste. It really was. And that's the biggest regret I have in my business, that the people that I should have helped, I actually let them down.
Fair play to you, though, for recognizing it, because, you know, it'd be very hard to realize, oh, hang on, I might have got this wrong here. Like, as we see with so many people, you know, so many doctors who are just doctors, nutritionists, dietitians, just so stuck in their ways. And even though they see these millions of people who have, you know, results that they don't see in their own clients, they're still unwilling to change. So it's very impressive that you're willing to.
And you know what it was, Max? I had to do this shit myself. I had to figure this out. Okay, listen, I've got a problem here because I struggled with an eating disorder for such a long time. I was borderline anorexic. I was overweight. So I struggled with my food for such a long time. And I struggled with my mental health for such a long time. And I could never get it right. And I was in the fitness game. I could easily get in shape, no problem. The problem I had is I could never sustain it. I could never sustain. I could never understand why I had to eat every couple of hours. I could never understand why I had this why I was panicking around food until I came across this podcast like 4 years ago, and it changed my life. And this guy spoke about the carnivore diet. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. It goes against everything that we were taught to believe. But the more he kept on talking about it, I was like, everything this guy talks about, it resonates with my story. So I said, what have I got to lose? What have I got to lose? I've done everything. I've done the low carbohydrates. I've done the high fiber. Nothing works. Let's just give this a go. Within 3 days, things improved. I was like, holy shit, this is incredible. 2 weeks, more improvements. A month later, I just felt incredible. So I was like, okay, this has done amazing things for me. So if I'm going to coach this, I need to know exactly what I'm talking about. So when people ask me the hard questions, I'm like, okay, this is the reason this happens. This is the reason that happens. So I said, right, I'm not going to take any clients. I'm going to study this for 6 months nonstop, like every day. And I've always said this, of all the diets that I've done in the past, and when I used to go to nutrition school, I've never studied a diet harder than this diet in my life. Like every day for that 6 months, I was literally looking on my PC, listening to people's testimonials, studying about cholesterol, fat. Like you're talking about nearly 6 to 8 hours a day, constant research. And that's why I feel now I'm very, very confident in my ability to help people now. And I know what people need. I can see it because I've been there myself. So every time I speak to somebody, whether it's a female or a male, I can see what they're going through because I went through it. I can see the stress. I can see the torture. I can see you guys are overtraining, you're undereating, you're overeating, and you want the answers, and you're not getting the answers that you need. People are just pushing you towards medication. They're saying that you're the problem.
Yeah.
And that's what pisses me off, because you're not the problem. You're just being educated the wrong way. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I'm going to take a pause really quick and add Alessandra in. She just joined in.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Alessandra. How are you?
I was struggling for a second. I'm good. How are you, Mark?
I'm very, very well. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. Hi,
Yeah,
Max.
lovely to meet you.
Hi, Selena. Nice to meet you.
Oh, always a pleasure to meet everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't know you.
On that subject though of what we were talking about as far as like moderation with food and everything, my husband and I were just talking yesterday, in fact, about the insanity of the reward factor of pleasure. Like, not just do we do this and we go, oh, we do this in moderation and it's okay, it's a little bit at a little time, just make sure you balance it out. But also the perspective of moderation with celebratory events, like, oh, but it's their birthday and it's
Oh, yeah.
Christmas and it's Easter or whatever celebratory time, they graduated. Now let's have all these cakes and sugars and candies and get these special lollipops and whatever, because we're celebrating them. And my husband and I were like, how insane is this concept where we're like, oh, look, here's this special event, let's poison you. Here's the special event. It's like we wouldn't go, and excuse the extremity here, but it's really not that extreme. We wouldn't go and be like, here's just a little bit of heroin. You just graduated. Good job, guys. Like, we wouldn't do that. But yet socially, we have been trained to ignore the reality of these chemicals and these processed foods and sugars and candies and all of that stuff, that it's okay because it's a celebration and you did a good job or happy birthday. And it's like, but it's just in moderation. It's okay. It's only a couple times a year. And it's like, but we're literally poisoning our children. with
But not only that, Selena, it happens every day. Like it's not like
yeah,
we're doing it in moderation. Like it's not like the way it used to be like 50 years ago. I know when I was younger, I was only told, okay, you're only getting these treats on the odd occasion, like
right.
once every so often. Nowadays kids are getting it every day,
Yeah,
literally every day. It's in their face. You only need to you only need to switch on your TV. Every second ad is processed food. So it's
yeah,
in the kids' faces all the time. When you walk into a store, all you see is just crap. You have to go down to the back aisle to see all the proper nutrition. So
right.
this is why, like, when we have this divide, okay, who's to blame here? Is it the system or is it the parents? I see both sides of the story, but
Exactly.
yeah, I completely understand what you're saying, Selena. That yeah, when it comes to these big occasions like birthdays, Christmases, we like to spoil our kids. Like I remember last year, someone put up on their Facebook page, it was Easter, and this child I think was only about 5 or 6 years of age, and in the background she had over 30 eggs of chocolate. And she just put this up on social media thinking that this is amazing. My child is getting spoiled here. And I'm like, I was dying to put a comment on our page saying, listen, you are poisoning your child. Now,
Yeah.
if I had said that to her, imagine what social media would have done to me. They would
Right.
have ripped me apart.
Oh, for facts. I go through this very experience just within the parameters of people that are close about the fact that I'm like, I'm sorry, like I know we're celebrating a birthday for so and so family member, but my children can't have that.
Yeah.
We're not going to let them have this cake or that lollipop or these things just because it's your birthday. Like
Mm.
that doesn't make sense.
No.
Yeah. It just doesn't make sense.
What? Like yesterday, I was talking with my father-in-law, and like this family, it's, I live in the US and they're big about like Thanksgiving and Christmas and having like lots of like different types of cakes and like, just unhealthy food, mac and cheese or whatever they like to eat. And for them, it's like, it's on the occasion, let's say, for a big celebration, but like, so I was asking him, like, are you gonna remember that day for the particular processed food that you ate, or whatever the carbs or the alcohol, or are you gonna remember that day for the good time that you spent with your family? Like you
Mm.
can have the same exact good time, just having like a good spread of food that it's actually like proper and it's gonna nourish you, and you're probably also gonna feel better the whole day because when you do Thanksgiving or Christmas, like you eat a lot, you eat all of this sugar, you probably drink a lot, and then 2 hours later, we're all on the couch, half asleep.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, like, it's an excuse to make the celebration about the food because the celebration it should be like first and foremost, if we're talking about Christmas or Easter, like it should be about God and family. It should be about
Yeah.
love. It shouldn't be about all the type of processed food that you're gonna eat that day and the amount of alcohol that you're gonna consume. So like just
Mm.
the literally how they changed our attention towards having a big feast, let's say, instead of celebrating God and celebrating love and celebrating the family. It's insane because it's like during Christmas, we're not even thinking about what is Christmas about. Like, what are we celebrating right now? Are we just gonna
Yeah.
all get it? Like, are we just getting drunk together and doing the presents or whatever? What's the point of Christmas? What's the point of Easter? What's the point of having some days that you spend with the family? Is it the
Mm.
food? Is the alcohol, or is it the actual celebration that you're gonna remember?
Exactly.
And what
Like,
people don't realize about carnivore is that after a while, you don't even want that stuff. Like
yeah.
when people are thinking about starting, they look down the barrel and they're like, no pizza, no ice cream, no cookies for the rest of my life. Or I don't know. But it's not like that forever. After, 30 days, you just don't want it. So whilst
Yeah.
it's very hard to get going, it's not like you have to, quote, force yourself every single day to not have that stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't
Yeah.
even taste that good after a
Yeah.
while. Like you
No.
You
realize
have no gain.
how how sweet they are or how like artificial is the flavor. It's not even enjoyable anymore.
Yeah.
Or you just simply feel so bad afterwards that you really don't want to do it anymore. You don't want to
Yeah.
do it.
I
That's
think the
exactly
biggest
right.
thing for me is that the impact it has on the body. Like
Yeah.
I've experimented the foods that I used to eat in the past that I was hooked on. Like soda was a big thing for me. I used to drink like soda drinks like 3 times a day, and they had no effect on me at all because I was so used to it. But I experimented on these around, I think it was about a year ago. I just had one, and my God, my mental health turned to crap. I was getting angry. I was getting anxious.
Wow.
I could
And
just, I could feel the, I could feel the anger. I could feel the anger in my body. It was having an impact big time. And I was like, oh my
Wow.
God, this is unbelievable. Because I have a
I would
rugby background. I used to play rugby, and like these coaches used to tell us, like, listen, before you go on a pitch, you need to have a can of Red Bull or a can of energy. And I understand because they wanted us really aggressive. So when we went on the pitch, we were like animals. Like we didn't give a shit. Like we were just killing each other. And that's the kind of aggression I had the minute I had that soda drink. I was like, oh wow, I can really feel this. And the same with the fruits. I could never be a moderator. I feel like for me, because of my past and I struggle with food, I'm not going to be one of those people where I can moderate sugar. For me, I need to get
oh
rid of
yeah.
it. It's all in. When I had fruit in the past, I had a banana a couple of months ago. No, it wasn't a couple of months ago. It was, yeah, about 6 or 9 months ago. And the minute I had it, it just set me off. It was like, okay, sugar's coming to the brain. The brain knows sugar's coming here. You want more of it. And I was like, okay, this is not working for me. And I
I
think you need to be sorry, Celine. I think you need to know that you have a problem in the first place if you want to fix yourself, if you want to heal. You can't just say to yourself, okay, I need to lose weight to be healthy. No, if you have a problem, you need to understand why you have that problem in the first place. You need to understand that you do have an addiction. And like what Max said,
Yeah.
if this was an alcoholic and we're trying to help an alcoholic, and we wouldn't just say to an alcoholic, okay, listen, just have this drink in moderation. No, you would encourage this person to stop. You know what I mean? So why can't we not say this to the same people that are struggling with food at the moment?
absolutely, absolutely. I had the same experience whenever I would have sugars, and it didn't matter, like you said, whether it was a chemical-based sugar, whether it was a fruit sugar. I experienced the same sort of like it's almost this internal rage. Like you can't help it and you don't know why you feel this way. I used to say, I'm just really edgy right now. Like, can you just, whenever people would start to talk to me too much or anything like that, it's like it would trigger all of my overstimulation issues. And I would get angry. I wouldn't necessarily react on it because I was conscious of what was happening, but I felt it. It was like, oh, okay, God, I just need to be left alone today because because I can't take it. And to look at something and go, that is not a reaction or experience that is supposed to be happening all day long, every day, throughout the day. Like, and that's how I was living, I ate fruit and all that stuff all the time. It wasn't like, why was I so overstimulated all the time? Oh, well, that's why. But
Yeah,
The
I think we
human.
need. Sorry, Max,
You
go
go on.
ahead.
No, you
No,
go,
go
Mark.
ahead. No, I was just
Oh,
going to say, but I just think we need to move it, and we need to move on, like what Alexander was saying about enjoying yourself around food, because this is where we're losing ourselves. I believe we're losing ourselves with our family, and this is why people are on social media. They're constantly on their phones all the time. We need to get back to reality. Like, when's the last time you seen a family around a dinner table eating their food? It
yeah,
very rarely happens. Very rarely happens. You see people that are in different rooms, they're texting each other in different rooms. There's no communication anymore. Everybody's just texting. And it's the same with the food. Everybody's just like focusing on that. Even at the weekend, everybody thinks that, okay, I'll work from Monday to Friday. I've earned to go out now to a restaurant and eat whatever I want.
yeah.
You know, that kind of way. So it's everything's just better. And then the next day that you can see it, they feel like shit. And the
Right.
whole day is ruined. So and then they're saying, oh, I can't believe Monday's here already. I have to go back to work. It's like, well, maybe if you just reevaluated things a little bit and looked after yourself a little bit, then, you know what I mean, that Monday might actually be a good Monday for you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? But instead of just going into that weekend thinking I need to base everything around food, I need to poison myself, and then I need to have a full day lying in bed, is that really the way we should be going? Because that's where I see the problem.
Yeah. And the human body is just, like all animals really, is just not equipped to consume lots of carbohydrates. When you look out in nature, there's very few carbohydrates that are present in abundance. Even all these fruits we've created, if you look at fruit, what it used to look like versus what humans have manipulated it into, you wouldn't even recognize the things. I think it was watermelon. Watermelons used to be about this big, and they were like 20 times sweeter, 20 times less sweet or something like that. So when you do the maths, and they're 20 times bigger and 20 times more sweet, they've got like 400 times the amount of sugar to what they used to. And even when you look across the animal kingdom, some of them eat plants, but these plants are very high in fiber, and they convert that fiber into short chain fatty acids. So they're running on fats too. There's not many. There's basically no animals that have a high carbohydrate diet, just because they can't access it. So humans are the exact same. We haven't historically consumed many carbohydrates, and when we consume them, we run into problems.
Absolutely.
And see, this is what you made a good point there, Max. That because I know I've heard you speaking about this before on your podcast. People need to understand, like, we have two main energy sources. We can rely on fat and we can rely on carbohydrate. We can't just rely on carbohydrate, which is what people are telling us. Everybody's telling us that we just cannot go without carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are our main source of energy. But people haven't given fats a chance. That's the problem. Like, you look at all these athletes. These athletes are convincing everybody that you need to have carbohydrates in your life. Now, first of all, they're athletes. You're not. So, and then you need to look at a person's lifestyle. If someone's sitting at an office all day or sitting behind a PC all day, then realistically, this person can't eat carbohydrates because they're going to store it. They're going to store it as fat. Now, someone who works on a building site, for example, who's lifting heavy stuff and is moving around, they're going to be using up more energy. So they're going to be burning it off. You know what I mean? It's the same with these athletes. They can burn it off. They can get away with this shit.
Right.
But like, there's people out there that can't. And this is what we need. And we need to get back to reality. Sorry, Alessandra.
No, sorry. Even if they can burn it off, that doesn't mean that it's good for them to consume.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Like,
that's
they're not gonna gain weight, but it's still not good for them.
I think people would be amazed at how many athletes have switched to low carbohydrate diets and don't talk about it. Like even Mohamed Salah, LeBron James, these are like absolute superstars. Every now and then they'll mention that they're not eating many carbohydrates. There's quite a few, but they're sponsored by Gatorade and all these other brands that sell carby products. But every now and then when they talk about their diet, you hear, interesting.
Most people don't even know. Michael Jordan himself, he lived a primarily animal-based diet during the peak of his seasons when he was at his absolute peak of his career. And that wasn't talked about back then. That wasn't something that was, common-based knowledge, but the primary diet that he lived off of a regimen specifically was closer to carnivore, animal-based. And people like now, they look at that and they go, oh, this is so extreme and this is so crazy. And it's like, actually, no, it's not really. It's just you weren't aware of it. You weren't conscious of it because you've been following the social stream that's being fed to you about what you need to eat in order to profit everybody else's pockets who's feeding the algorithm on that.
It's funny. People call carnivore a fad diet. And by very definition of the word, a fad is something that's popular for a very short period of time. If you look at the context of human history, every other diet that's not carnivore is a fad diet. You know what I mean? So people look at it and it's like, this is so weird, this crazy fad diet. And, to be fair, I thought the exact same thing. When I heard that there were people only eating meat, I was like, what? Like, that's everyone's opinion. After you go on it for a while, you're so like acclimatized to it. It just seems normal. Like when people are like, wait, you only eat meat? I'm like, yeah, what else would I eat? Like, duh. Whereas, like, when you're not doing carnivore, it seems weird. But when you actually look, when people think it's weird, in reality, every other diet is, very foreign to humans.
Yeah, and when you hear people, when you hear people talk about the carnivore diet, they'll say it's restrictive. It's going to give you it's going to give you a form of an eating disorder. Now, for me, I class an eating disorder. If you're thinking about food all the time, like nonstop, that to me is an eating disorder. Whereas with the carnivore diet, that completely eliminates that straight away.
100%.
Like, young Jonathan at the moment is going through a fasting program at the moment. He's killing it. He's 3 days into this at the moment. Now I can tell you right now, he wouldn't have been able to do that on a standard carbohydrate diet. Not a chance. He would struggle big time because he'd have these regular energy crashes, dips throughout the day. He would struggle big time. But because now he's relying on his own energy reserves, his fat reserves, he's able to do this no problem.
And
go ahead.
I was going to say that they've convinced everyone that like obesity and being overweight is a genetic thing. You know what I mean? Like most people are like, yeah, it just runs in my family. It's like, well, if you go back to the year 1900, maybe the statistics aren't that reliable, but only 0.5% of the population was overweight. And with every single animal, when you give them their species-appropriate diet, they do not get fat. And then as soon as we domesticate them, we give them the same crap that we eat. All of a sudden, they start running into problems. They run into all these human diseases, which are just a result of an improper diet.
Like one of the easy factors, like you just said, that I usually will point out to people when they're like, how could you be doing this? And I'm like, well, you've domesticated yourself with the standard foods that we deem as food, which is not food. I said, how long ago did you start noticing that everybody's pets suddenly have to be put on weight loss diets, have to be put on treadmills to run around and try to, take this weight off? I said, when I was a little kid, you never saw a fat dog. Like it just wasn't a thing. I'm 41 years old. So when I was a little kid, that was like 30 years ago. But you didn't see, people's pets with morbid obesity. Now, and you go, well, what's changed? They're not feeding them the table scraps anymore. And as much as that sounds awful, the table scraps 30, 40, 50 years ago were not the same table scraps we have now.
Yeah. It's actually interesting. There's there's a few animals, but one in particular, that is a wild animal that's not eating what it's biologically designed to, and that is pandas. When you look at pandas' anatomy, they actually should be carnivores, but they're just not smart enough to hunt and whatnot. And when they look at wild pandas, they have, bloating, and they're so stupid too that people think pandas are all special. So it's this one species that's not eating what it's meant to eat, and they've got all these human issues with digestion and whatnot, and their brains can't function properly. They're falling from trees, and they have to eat, I believe, is it 10 plus hours per day. So they intentionally don't live next to each other because they don't want to steal each other's food. And so when it comes mating season, they have to do these calls and special smell trails and whatnot to attract each other, because if they are too close to each other, they just can't get enough energy from the environment.
It's insane. I mean, when you look at that perspective of going, see what this looks like outside of ourselves as human beings, because we're such egotistical creatures that we don't often look outside of our own picture to see things from a point of view that is kind of more of an overview, and to go, look, we're not any different than them, the pandas, as far as how we have altered our existence with food and nature. And now it's you look at what's happening with everybody, and it's going, we're deteriorating. We are literally becoming less intelligent. And it's you could see it every day. I was telling my husband a couple months ago, I was like, you remember it was so common for us to use such a vast vocabulary when I was younger that nowadays, most people, if I use certain words, they look at me and they have no idea what I'm talking about. They don't understand them. And I'm like, you have a degree. How do you not understand what to me is a commonplace word? But nowadays it's we don't even use language hardly at all anymore, properly at least. And not that we need to speak in proper English and all that, but I mean, just the value of our vocabulary has diminished.
100%. And when you look at historical human fossils from 12,000 years ago, our brains were about 11% bigger than they are now. And that is exactly when we switched to agriculture and started mass growing crops, and our diet went from a carnivorous diet to a omnivorous diet. So if it shrunk that amount in, you know, not that long of a time period, it's terrifying to think what's going to happen now that people are eating this ultra processed slop. And when you combine that with the fact that, you know, things like ChatGPT, you don't have to use your brain. You know, like there's studies coming out showing how when people use ChatGPT, they're by the end of the study, their like overall cognitive function is well below where it was when they started. It's terrifying to think what's going to happen to the average intelligence of humans in the future.
Yeah,
100%. Because I've said this before as well. Like I've said, as I have a friend of mine who's a doctor, and I've said to him, I said, listen, you have no idea that if you don't start snapping yourself out of it right now, you're going to be taken over in the next 3 or 4 years. Everything's going to be commercialized. There's not going to be any doctors in the world. Everything's going to be done through the system, and that's what's scary. If we get to that stage, honestly, we are in serious trouble.
It's going to be interesting because especially like therapists, the number of like middle-aged women I know who have ChatGPT as their therapist, and they'll like openly admit it. Like, yeah, when I'm stressed about something, I'll talk to ChatGPT. I'll give me these great answers. Dr. Mike Israetel, I'm not sure if you guys know him. He's this big bodybuilding YouTuber.
Yeah, I know him.
I know.
He was on a podcast the other day talking about how ChatGPT has made him cry multiple times from the spiritual answers it has gave him. So it's like, interesting.
The guy's a clown. The guy's a clown.
Are they spiritual answers, or are they just, you know, answers that have been pulled from everybody else's input towards that particular subject? Because ultimately, I mean, the dangers of following ChatGPT as a therapist or psychiatrist of any kind, there are things that ChatGPT does. For anybody who's watching, be aware of the fact ChatGPT is not faultless. It has mistakes. It makes mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
And it will do it based off of the outcome you're asking of it. If you want it to look like this, I will give you the best outcome to fit the narrative you're asking me for. That's what ChatGPT does. And guess what? We are faulty. We're human. We make mistakes. We're not going to be able to create something that's going to answer us in an AI state that doesn't have its own faults. Now, that doesn't mean it won't get better in the next 5 years. I mean, obviously, it's going to do what it's going to do based off of what we've already seen happen. But at this moment in time, if you're relying on ChatGPT for psychiatry, that's a dangerous route to go down, because there are people who have proven that it will just as much attempt to convince you to take away your own existence as it will to help you.
100%.
That's true.
100%. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Selena.
Right? It's a crazy world.
It's the same when you hear all these people talking about the studies, all the research. This is all we hear. It's like, this research says this paper says this. What about listening to people like ourselves?
Yeah.
Like what's wrong with doing that? What's wrong with actually listening to a person?
Because the generation before us, sorry, I'll be real quick. The generation before us prized, and I say before us, what my generation, I think Mark, you and I are kind of in the same genre here. Our parents' generation prized a piece of paper documentation of education more than they prized actual knowledge, actual intelligence. They prized education over intelligence.
And
yeah, my mom. Sorry.
You go, Alessandra. There you go.
My mom always tells me like, yeah, you can make this video and give people advices because you're not a nutritionist. I'm like, thank God I'm not a nutritionist. Like, thank God I didn't go to school to become a nutritionist, because I would have learned wrong informations. So I don't really respect that, because it's, I mean, what they teach at nutritional school, where does that come from?
Yeah.
And even if these studies weren't bought and paid for by big food, what people don't understand is that to do nutrition science or health science of any kind, it's basically impossible. Like, let's say you want to see if running was good for you. Like, how, like, you could get people running and whatnot, but you need to control every other aspect. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
need to control their diet. You basically need to lock people in a lab, and then you need to measure it over a long time horizon. You know, it's no good saying, oh yeah, you know, they're healthier for a month. So to conduct any sort of science, you need to lock people in a laboratory for 10, 15 years, control every single variable, feed them the same thing, give them the same type of water. Because if they're out in the public, like doing, you know, who knows what else, some people are drinking, some are smoking, some people are sleeping 4 hours a night, you cannot get any sort of credible evidence. And you see these issues with healthy user bias and unhealthy user bias in the field of nutrition. You know, they go, well, people who eat lots of vegetables have much better health outcomes. Therefore, vegetables are good for you. Well, it's like, well, if you don't eat vegetables from the general population, chances are you don't care that much about your health. We've all been told how good for us vegetables are. So if you're someone who's not eating vegetables, you're on a high processed food diet. From that study, you can't go, vegetables are good for you. But that's exactly what people do. And that is the best type of science we have in the field of nutrition. You can't do real studies that regarding health and nutrition.
It's such a pity, isn't it?
It is, because that's what, like, the carnivore diet, it is fundamentally impossible to like prove it is 100% the best diet for humans. Because like I said, we'd have to lock people in a lab for 20 years. Like, you can't really do much about it. It's just, you need to look at human biology, how are people feeling, and try to make the best call you can.
Yeah, and when you said about the fruits and the vegetables of them, when we've been told that this is extremely healthy for us, like, where's the evidence for all this?
Oh, exactly.
Like, where is it? Like, I don't care what studies you have. I want to see evidence. Prove to me that this is the best way we should be in. Prove to me that because everybody's telling me on social media that we're not protein deficient, we're fiber deficient. I want you to explain this to me. Like, I want you to show me real evidence. And if you can show me real evidence, we can have this discussion. But if you're just sending me this random paper, this random paper that I can pick up myself on the internet, I'm sorry. Like, we need to move on from this.
And the exact same thing is true with fiber. Like, if you imagine, let's say we went out today and we just started speaking to people, and we asked them how much fiber they had. And let's say 100 people said we're in a high fiber group and 100 were in a low fiber group. Chances are the high fiber diet group is going to be eating a lot less processed food. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just like, from then we'll do a study on them, and the high fiber group's doing well. Fiber's clearly good for us. It's like, well, hang on a sec. What else is going on here? You know, and when you look at human, you know, biology, we can only ferment roughly 5% of fiber. In herbivores, it's close to 50%. And in omnivores, it's around 50%. In herbivores, it's closer to 80%. If humans lived on plants, we simply would not be able to ferment enough fiber to get enough energy from it. And when you actually look at it mechanistically, it binds to our gut lining. We can't break it down. As it goes through, gases form, which is why vegans fart 7 times more. They brag about that. You know, when you look at the mechanism of fiber, humans are not adapted to eat it. But people are like, oh, these studies that are designed very poorly and control no other factor show fiber is good, therefore it must be good. It's insanity.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It really is. How people can say that a macro that is essential, which is protein, amino acids, is
the building block of life.
Building block of life. And okay, we should be pushing this to the side, and we should replace it with a new a macro, a food that's not even a nutrient. It's just mind-boggling. It really is. It's crazy.
And like, when you even just look at it from the most simple view possible, right? When something is good for a species, they're intuitively drawn to it, right? Like, if you know, and the reverse is true. When something is bad for you, it's going to cause you problems. You don't want it. Like, if something has expired, it's gone off, it's built up all this bacteria to the point where if you consume it, you're going to get food poisoning. It smells horrible. You cannot get near that. The same thing happens to our taste buds when we eat vegetables. Now, some people claim to like vegetables because they cook in lots of butter and seasoning, and they build a slight tolerance to it or whatnot. But
the body or the vegetable?
Exactly. But when you give a vegetable to a kid, it's bitter, it's horrible, they cry, they don't want it. But for some reason, we're like, you know, this thing that we hate must be good for us. It just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't make any sense at all. And exactly like you just said, Alessandra, like, is it the butter or is it the vegetable we like? Because I know for sure almost anything that I used to eat that wasn't like carnivore based before I was animal or carnivore, It was all just butter delivery systems for me. That's it.
Yeah.
How much butter can I put on this broccoli? How much salt? How much butter can I put on? Like
Literally.
it was not because I was like, oh my goodness, I can't wait to eat my whole plate of broccoli, guys. No, it was like it was the
Then what
butter. and
about coffee?
Oh, see, I don't know. I still like coffee. I can't help it. But I
Because,
am off coffee at the moment, just
do
to
you
be
drink
clear.
black coffee or do you put cream or butter in it?
I was a butter coffee babe.
So is it the butter or is it the coffee?
Exactly.
I think it's both because I actually used to drink black coffee before
You
I
like
was
black coffee,
carnivore.
okay. But it
Yeah.
does taste very bitter
Mm.
Yeah, it
because,
is
you
bitter.
know, it's pretty much a burnt seed.
Yeah.
As someone who still drinks coffee, I'm quitting it early next year because when I've quit it in the past and it like messed me up for a week, so I've got to go through a rough week or two. And as someone who still drinks coffee, I completely agree with what you're saying. It tastes really good when you add other stuff to it, but at the end of the day, it is a burnt seed.
Yep, it is a
Yeah.
burnt seed. But yeah.
It does taste good though when you mix it nicely, and
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's
but
quite nice in the
I like
mornings. But yeah,
I like cappuccino and all of that, you know. I never
Mm.
tried with butter, but I noticed because like in the past I would drink a lot. I was in Australia actually for a year, and coffee in Australia, it's so delicious. The way they make the cappuccinos and all of the different types of coffees, so good. So when I was there, like for a year, every morning I would go and get a coffee, and then one day I tried to just drink black coffee, and I was like, oh God, this is disgusting. You
So
know?
when you consume something enough, your taste buds sort of adapt to it. My theory behind this is when you're consuming the same thing like over and over, your body just
Yeah.
assumes, well, this must be one of our only food sources, so it like builds a tolerance to it. And I'm the exact
Mm-hmm.
same. If I went downstairs and made myself a black coffee, it would taste terrible. But there have been times in my life where I was like really deep in my cut and I couldn't have the calories and whatnot from it. So I'd start drinking black coffee, and after like a week or two, I actually convinced myself I liked it. Then I had one with milk again. I went back to it, I was like, okay, this does taste terrible. But I think what happens is like people that like black coffee, sort of, they have it enough times and they build that sort of adaptation.
Yeah.
Oh,
I used to drink probably more Diet Coke than water at the time. I
oh
was
man.
that was pretty bad.
Mm.
But and then I stopped completely, of course, when I started learning about nutrition. I changed my diet. And I remember it was like a few months ago, I went back to a place where I used to always get like a massive cup of Diet Coke. So it was kind of like just go through the memory lane. And so I got one and I took a sip and I was like, it was literally so
Mm.
bad. It tasted like completely artificial. I didn't like the taste. I didn't like even the sensation that it left in my mouth.
Mm.
It's disgusting. Like I would never, I throw it away. I would never drink that.
Yeah, it's like anything that I have like tasted since becoming full carnivore, that's like that. It tastes like chemical cleaners to me, like what you would use like an industrial. I've worked in several like industrial places or mechanical places, and like the cleaners that you use to like spray on engines and stuff like that to clean engines, it tastes like how those smell to me now.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
before, I thought it was delicious. It was amazing. This is great stuff.
You know,
Now I'm
0 calorie. You can drink as much as you want.
oh, that is the insanity
They
of
were the days.
right. The days of ignorance. There is absolutely some truth to that saying, ignorance is bliss, because
Yeah.
once you know, you can't unknow. Once you see, you can't unsee. And the people who choose to hear facts and see some of the proof in what happens with those of us that choose a carnivore or animal-based lifestyle, and still choose to put their head in the sand, it's because the addiction is so strong in their neural pathways that they just have to ostrich. It's either that or complete denial so that they don't have to take acceptance for what they've done to themselves or their family.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about dairy? Because I've been receiving a lot of hate about that
Mm.
in my videos. Because, how dare I touch the raw milk
Mm.
or
What,
dairy in
what,
general? What do you guys think? Is it like a health food? Are we adapted to eat
Well,
that? Or
the only answer I can give you, Alessandra, is this. So we think alcohol and cigarettes is normal in this world, but when it comes to raw milk, there's a big problem
yeah,
there.
I completely agree with that. And raw milk, it's much better than pasteurized
mm.
milk. You know,
Yeah.
that I completely agree. But like, is dairy actually like ancestrally appropriate? Is a human food that we didn't consume it for millions of years. We really just started consuming it like 8,000 years ago.
Mm.
And we know that an average of 65% of the population is still lactose intolerant. So
Mm.
if we literally don't have the enzyme to digest it, how can we say it's a health food?
Mm.
Well, I'm kind of on the same fence as Ken Berry when he speaks about this. It depends on the person. Some people can tolerate and some people can't.
Yeah, of course. Some
I've
people
I've
can tolerate.
Yeah, I've seen with women, because I work with an awful lot of women. I see that dairy does an awful lot of damage to women, a lot of damage.
What
I
about
know.
fat loss, stalls, or like
Yeah,
just gaining weight?
that's where I see the problem. I see
Yeah.
when you remove the dairy, full stop.
Yeah.
The hormones optimized, they function the way they should be, everything works perfectly.
Mm.
I see this with women when they have this stall, they have this weight loss stall, they lose the weight at the beginning, and then all of a sudden then just things stop. And then you look
Mhm.
at the diet, and most of it, there's a good bit of dairy in there, there's cheese, all the good natural food that we were told to eat, like milk
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. And I don't have any problem with these. If you can tolerate them, no problems. But I just know that if you're trying to get in shape and things are not working the way they should be working, then I just feel, and I've seen that
Mm-hmm.
when you remove the dairy from the diet, it makes a massive, massive difference.
100%. That's the first fat loss tip I think anyone should have on carnivore. If anyone's ever says, I've been carnivore for this long, I've had a fat loss stool, like whatever scenario is
Cut the
going on,
dairy.
the first
Yeah.
thing, cut the dairy.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah,
do
and
nothing else but that,
yeah,
Yeah.
dairy has lactose. Lactose is a sugar, and dairy
Yeah.
also has casein and whey proteins that are highly
Mm.
insulinogenic. So they're gonna give you a spike in blood sugar
Yeah.
and in insulin, of course. So they're gonna stop you from burning fat.
yeah,
And
Exactly.
especially,
Yeah.
I notice around dairy, it's very addictive for me. Because
100%.
if I start drinking milk or like having cheese or like cottage cheese for me, like if I start having cottage cheese or yogurt, I
Mm.
find myself going like I'm like looking for it even if I'm not hungry. Like for example, I just ate like a big meal of beef. I don't want any more meat, any more eggs, any more fish. I wouldn't eat any of that, but I
Mm.
would be apt to eat like a little yogurt or
Mm.
some
Yeah.
milk or something like that. I
Yeah.
think it's like the same addiction with it's the sugar problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. That's definitely 100%. It is.
What you're saying about dairy, I 100% agree with all of it. We only started consuming dairy 12,000 years ago. Early adopters of dairy have much higher lactase persistence, which is where the gene to break
Mhm.
down lactose stays active into adulthood. So, like in European people, I think lactase persistence is about 90%. So 90% of people have enough copies of the LCT gene to break down dairy. But later adopters, such as like Asian people and whatnot, have very low lactase persistence. I believe it's around 10 to
Mhm.
15% of the population. And there are many other populations like that who adopted dairy later. So when you look at it from a health aspect, if these people are lactose intolerant, they literally cannot break it down. That's going to cause a lot of problems for a lot of people. So from a health aspect, dairy is probably not ideal. But in terms of fat loss, I think it's like just, we just look at it like from a logical aspect. It is designed by a species for the growth of its own species.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It has this
Yeah.
rare combination of sugar, fat, and protein, which makes it super easy to overeat. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, I think dairy does cause a lot of people a lot of problems. But my counter argument to all of that would be, when you say to people, all you can do is eat meat your entire life. You can't have
Yeah,
cheese
of
either. No
course.
dairy. No. Like trying to get them on carnivore, trying to sell them only eating like quote bland meat from the start. I think it's very difficult. So when people are
Yeah.
starting carnivore, I think dairy is a great addition just because it can
Oh
help them
yeah.
transition over.
Yeah.
And then
Mhm.
so I think do carnivore for 30, 90 days, include dairy. And then if you're not
Mhm.
seeing the fat loss you want, you're not quite feeling as good as you hoped, then I would cut it. So
Yeah.
that's what I would say with dairy.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But then by the
100%.
same,
Yeah,
but it's also better than plants. So it's just like, you know what I mean? I reckon consuming a bit of, especially raw dairy, is better than eating like, anything else. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
100%.
a spectrum.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
saying that dairy is like the worst food in the world. Of course, it's much better than any other processed food or like plant food or,
Yeah.
grains or seeds, legumes, all of that. But I'm just like saying that it's also not 100% good for humans and appropriate. Like it's not even milk from our species.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. Like imagine, breastfeeding a
Um,
cow.
and, exactly. And when you see what's going on in the world at the moment, Alessandra, everybody's drinking low-fat milk.
Oh
Everybody's
yeah.
drinking
Well, that's
everybody's drinking
insane.
oat milk, rice milk, all these different milks. So they're not
Yeah, I
even
used
drink.
to
They're not
I
even
used to
drink.
do that too.
They're not even drinking ordinary milk.
It's oat juice. Oats don't have milk. That's what I like to say to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah, it's
They
like, oh
convince
my
themselves
god,
they got oat milk, but it's oat juice with seed oils and water.
oh, it's madness,
And it tastes
crazy.
so bad too. Like I remember
Yeah,
I thought I was like because I had like a lot of digestive problems at the time that of course they were coming from all of the grains and fibers and plants that I was eating, and I was also eating super low fat. And so I thought that my bloating was because I was intolerant to dairy. And so I switched to soy milk. And it was just so disgusting. Honestly, I was like literally going out with my friends and getting a soy milk cappuccino, and it was just so sad,
Mm.
honestly.
Nothing like a
And it
good
was
old,
worse for me.
cup of phytoestrogens.
Yeah. God. Well, I'm glad those days are over.
Good to have you back, Selena.
Yes. I mean, I was able to talk, but I was like, I don't know what happened with my camera, but it decided to just
phrase.
either way, we're back. We're here. I feel like I've missed the last 2 minutes, so I'm up for any subject that's next, guys. Do you
Who's
have
got
What else?
something?
What else is going on in the world that we need to talk about?
a
I
lot.
don't really watch the news. I have no idea.
Me neither. That's something else
Max, what
too.
do you think about cardio? Because
About cardio.
I saw a YouTube video you had with Bart K,
Mhm.
and I know what he thinks about it.
Mm.
But you're into the gym too, so what do you think about cardio? Is it
Uh,
good or is it not?
truthfully, no, I don't think it's like that good for you. I think it's good for you mentally, but in terms of like if you
Mm-hmm.
want to live to 150, probably not. But I just really like working out, and I like the way it makes me feel. I like the benefits from it. So maybe will live to 119 instead of 120, but I like it. So
Well,
Yeah,
and
I think for sorry, Selena. I think for me, I'm the same as Max. I hate cardio. I don't even like having people
I
doing
hate it
cardio.
too.
I think if you're on a weight loss program, the worst thing you can do is cardio because it's going to have an
Cardio.
impact. It's going to have an impact on hunger. It's gonna spike blood sugar. It's just going to cause a lot more damage. So in regards to cardio, if you enjoy it and you like being a runner, the way I see it is training should be specific to your goals. If you want to be a
Mm-hmm.
runner, then you need to train to be a runner. If you want to be a weightlifter, train to be a weightlifter. I think for most people, I'm talking about most people who are suffering with insulin resistance, I don't think you need that much cardio. I think you just need the right diet, which is we can all agree is some sort of the carnivore lifestyle. Just movement on a daily basis and just add strength training in a couple of days a week. You do that and you'll get in amazing shape. That's it. I think a lot of people are trying to. Oh, I think a lot of people are trying to overcomplicate things. They're trying to go to these cardio classes, and you can see it in their face. The
the
stress.
spin
They
Yeah,
don't.
classes.
especially those heat classes. Those are
Yeah.
terrible.
Oh yeah. I watched these women for years go in and out of those spin classes, and I would just be like, "What are you doing to your body?"
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I did one once because that whole like everybody tries everything once, right? I did one once, and I remember walking out of there, and I looked at my mom, and I was like, "That is hell. That's the
Yeah.
epitome of hell. Like, please don't ever
I
make
used
me
to
do this
teach
again."
them.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, but I
Oh
get it
God.
because
Mm.
that whole concept of like burning more calories than you're intaking and all of that cardio feeds that hamster cycle of that whole, you know, calories in, calories out concept. And so a lot of people, women particularly, they get sucked into that so easily.
Do you know what's
Mm.
in my gym, Selena? They have all these posters with spinning and HIIT classes, and you know what they have underneath them? Burn 800 calories in this class.
Mm.
That's all you say. It's like, come into this class, you'll burn 800 calories, and people are fixated on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, I'm overweight now. This class, I go into this class, and I'm going to be able to burn 800 calories. And then guess what they do when they go home? They end up eating more. They
Mm-hmm.
go
Yeah.
home and they raid the fridge, and they can't understand why they have these massive cravings all of a sudden, because your blood sugars are spiked massively. And what makes it even worse is you see these people going into these classes with these energy drinks.
Mm.
So it's like you're defeating the purpose.
Mm-hmm. I think that
You know?
Yeah, and then
the only real benefit of these cardio classes for me is like people's mental health. I think there are a lot of people who, you know, whilst these classes might be a bit stressful in their body and whatnot, I mean, objectively, it is true that they are. But for a lot of people, you know, it really calms them down and makes them feel a lot better doing these like high intensity classes. So I think the only utility they serve is that aspect.
Yeah.
Mm.
Men, if as I said, if it's going to fix your hour or your mental health, then
Yeah.
absolutely no problems. But at the end of the day, if you're looking to improve your body, and we're talking about body composition here, we're not talking about weight.
Yeah, or performance or anything like that. That's obviously good for performance if you're trying to be an athlete.
Yeah. I think that's what we need to focus on. We need to move away from the scales, move away from weight, and move away from this toxic atmosphere, and just focus on the basics. Just move your body. Because when you think about it, when we look at our ancestors, we never did cardio. We chased after animals like for what, a minute or something like that, or we got chased for a minute. So I'm actually a fan of like doing like interval sprints if you
yeah.
if you do want to do cardio. So like 5 minutes probably at the end of your workout, like sprints, like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and just do that a couple of times a week. But if you're standing on a treadmill for an hour and you're just walking for an hour, I can't think of anything worse. I really can't. I think to me, that's a form of torture. And where I see at the moment is I see obese people running around, and it really annoys me. Really, really annoys me, because you're looking at these people and you're saying like, just stop. You don't need to do this. The impact alone you're putting on your knees is incredible. Like you don't need to do this. You just want to go over to these people, put your arm around them, and just say, "Listen, you don't need to do all this," because you can see the pain in their face.
Yeah, you can. And
Talk
especially
about.
when
Go ahead.
you
Go ahead.
you guys later.
I was just gonna say, I feel so much, especially for these people who I see who are excessively obese, and they're pounding away on the treadmill, and I go, you have no idea the damage that you are doing to your joints by doing this, but they think that that's what they're supposed to do. Like this is how we do it. And I go, you are doing more long-term damage to your physical being than if you were to do like a form of strength training versus pounding your knees away on the treadmill or
Absolutely.
whatever.
And they all do it for so long too. Like there are people that I see that have been at the gym for years and years and years, and they're training like every time I go, they seem to be there. So they're training every single day, basically, if not multiple times per day. Because I'm sure there's times where I don't see them, and they look absolutely no different. You know, because they're in that same cycle of doing the cardio, trying to limit the amount of ultra processed food. Well, maybe it's just high carbohydrate food, might not even be ultra processed. Trying to limit the amount they're eating, and they just can't do it. So there's much better methods, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. Selena's, your camera's all blurred up again.
I know, love. I'm not sure really what to do about it. It was
Well, we can hear you. That's the main thing.
That's the only part that really matters, right, guys? For everybody who's commenting in here, So for the same reason, whatever reason my camera went out, my keyboard also is now not functioning. So I can't type back to you all and answer your questions. Yes, Instagram cut out at 1 hour. So for whatever reason on our group page, the carnivore community on Instagram, we are still at a 1 hour limit. So fun times, which makes no sense because it is a creator account, not a personal or business account. And so we're supposed to be able to go for 4 hours. Not that I expect any of us to do that, but so it automatically cut out. So that's why we've got that going. We're still live on YouTube for all of those who are still watching on YouTube. So just to answer that for everybody.
Super.
Yeah, fun times. Technology is just,
I know.
great. It's so great.
I
If you
know.
guys could see my facial expression right now. Either way. So, you have anything else this day, this evening, this morning, whatever time, because we're all in, I think, different time zones. I know Alessandra's on the West Coast here in the US. I'm on the East Coast. I know you're in New Zealand. You're in Ireland. At least I think that's where you're at right now.
That's where I am right now. It's nearly 9 o'clock over where I am now, 9 p.m.
Oh man. Yeah,
I should be in bed now, Selena.
Oh, well, you know what? I didn't torture you to come on.
No, you didn't. No, you
I
didn't.
didn't twist your arm. I just asked nicely. And now Max, on the other hand, I twisted his arm in case everybody didn't know. I just kidding. I'm not sure if we have any other topics we want to go off of. If we don't, I mean, we have been over an hour, and if we're ready to keep going, we can do that as well. Yes, I can see the chat. I just can't type back to any of you guys.
Do they have any suggestions?
Do you guys have any topic suggestions? All of you that are watching,
or any questions?
or any questions?
What are your thoughts about fasting and the differences? Should there be differences between women and men in fasting?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't think fasting is what a lot of people make out. I don't think it is as necessary as what many people claim. I think you get a lot of the benefits from fasting, like the autophagy and whatnot, just from being in that low carbohydrate and therefore low insulin state. And then, when you're fasting, some of your stress hormones elevate. It's like, yes, there are some benefits on paper, but there are also drawbacks. And yeah, I mean, I think fasting is one of those things where, again, we just don't have enough data to make a solid conclusion. There are a lot of people in favor of it, a lot of people against it. And then there's also the argument that every time you eat, your body prepares, at least to some degree, thinking, well, this could be the meal that poisons us. So there is some sort of an inflammatory response every time you eat. So there's good arguments both sides. Maybe OMAD's optimal. It's just, again, there's just no real way of knowing, just because we can't get a properly controlled study which would actually tell us.
Yeah, I'm with Max on this. It depends on the person, to be honest with you. But for me personally, I would, if you are going to do a fast, you can probably do it once a week, just to give your gut a bit of a break, and it's good for like health reasons and stuff like that. But for me, I like to have people doing like protein modified fasts. I think the most important thing you need to be focusing on is your muscle. I think if you're fasting too much, way too long, you're going to end up losing muscle, and that's not a good idea. So if you're going for like 2, 3, 4 weeks without eating food, I think that's a problem. But I think if you're doing it like once a week, I don't see any issues with that whatsoever. But yeah, I just think for most people, if you're doing like an OMAD approach or something like that, I would definitely keep on protein, because that's when I see the biggest benefits. But I also see benefits when you give your body a bit of time without any food at all. I do it myself. But I don't do it every so often. I only do it probably once every 2 or 3 months, just to give my gut a bit of a break, let it get back to normal, and then I'll get back on it again. So it just depends on the person, to be honest.
Yeah, there's good arguments both sides. We'll never really know if it's net good, net positive, but I mean, net good, net bad. But I would speculate that it's definitely a good idea not to do it too often.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
do you think
I would
our
agree.
ancestors had like long times that they were fasting and like they were fasting on the daily basis? Or do you think they actually had a lot of abundance? Because we were hunting like the mega fauna, so we
Mm,
probably had a lot of meat available.
yeah, I agree, and
What do you think?
I think
Mm.
for a lot of human existence, we had an abundance, and especially when you consider that large portions of the earth were frozen, and like the rest of the other large part, like the majority of the earth at the time was very cold. So this meat that these animals we killed would last a lot longer than they would
Mm.
in hot conditions. But
Mm.
yeah, when you look at hunter-gatherer tribes in more modern times, they have their diets are roughly only 50% meat on average, and that's because we've overhunted. We have very few animals, no
Yeah.
large animals. And when you look at the amount of energy expenditure hunting very large animals compared to like smaller animals like baboons, like some of these tribes do nowadays, it takes about 4 times as much energy expenditure hunting smaller animals. So I
Mm.
think back in the day when we killed these animals, we didn't have to use much energy to get them, and I think they
Yeah.
could last a very long time. So I think for a lot of human existence, we would have been eating 2-3 times a day, but there would have been periods where maybe we only got one big feast every 2 or 3 days.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
Mhm.
think I can see both. Depends on the time, but I think there definitely were a lot of times in abundance.
Yeah. 100%. I agree. Definitely.
What do you reckon, Alessandra?
Mm. So, so the best thing, like if we want to kind of like imitate what was going on with our ancestors, would be like having like a variation of fast length they were
Mm,
doing. Like for example, not like always being in a routine that we eat at the same time, we eat like 2 or 3 times a day. Like
hmm
maybe like I don't know, some people do like 4 days, one meal a day, and then they do one day zero meal, and then maybe they do 2 days that they eat a lot.
mm.
Do you think that's a better approach just to keep, your body working? Or do you think like having a routine, always eating the same amount of meal, the same amount of meat, the same amount of like this at the same time?
I
Yeah.
truly
Like
think
that.
it's.
Like. Sorry,
You
Max.
go.
Go ahead. No, go, Max. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I truly think it's best to go on just on hunger. I really
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
If you're hungry, it's a sign your body wants something. If you're not hungry, don't eat. And one
Yeah.
one interesting characteristic of the human body that suggests we may have had abundance is our acidic stomach, because humans actually have a more acidic stomach than other carnivores. Animals like lions, wolves, and stuff, it typically goes to about 2, whereas ours goes down to 1.5. And as acidity decreases, as stomach pH decreases, it gets more and more acidic. So we have a more acidic stomach than these other carnivores. And so originally, when we found this out, we thought, well, maybe humans were more of a scavenger animal than we thought, because vultures, who are scavenger animals, who eat these old carcasses, also have this very low stomach acidity. But when you actually think about it, it's like, well, humans, we're one of the only species that can sort of kill an animal and leave it for a long period of time. So
Yeah,
because we've
that's
adapted and
true.
have this super acidic stomach, it is highly likely that we would kill an animal and have it for a very long time, because having
Mm.
the super acidic stomach is a very energy demanding process, and lining the gut for that acidity also. So we wouldn't have adapted that unless we were killing animals and then eating them for a long period of time. So we probably did have an abundance.
Mm.
Hmm.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Makes perfect sense.
Mm,
Yeah. I'm the same, Max. I just think that you need to just go off how you feel. Just
yeah,
go off your
100%.
hunger signals. Just stop. Don't make it complicated. Listen to your body. Your body will tell you when you need to eat and when you need to stop. Some days because I have such a busy schedule, I forget to eat. I'm like,
Mm,
oh my god, it's like 3 o'clock now. I haven't even eaten, but I'm fine.
mhm,
And I like to. I never like to stress eat. I like to eat my meal when I'm completely relaxed. So if I
mhm,
have a busy day, like really busy day, I don't mind having that one big meal.
yeah.
At least I can have it. I can sit down for an hour and really enjoy it. I
Mm,
don't want to be in a situation where I'm panicking. I'm panicking around my food. Or I only have 10 minutes to eat here, so I'm gonna
mhm,
wolf it down. I'm not gonna send any signals to my brain. I'm just gonna like wolf it down. I like to sit down and enjoy my food, and I think that's what our ancestors did. They all went out, they all hunted, they all killed the animal, and I'm pretty sure they all sat around the fire and they just spoke to each
Hmm.
other and they just enjoyed their food.
mhm,
So there wasn't that panic around food. It was like, okay, we'll eat when everything's sorted. We'll put up the tents. We'll make sure
mhm,
everybody's okay. We'll make sure we got our food supply, we got our water supply. Everything was just basically covered. And then when everybody was all calm, and relaxed, that's when they were ready to eat. And that's where I feel that's where we need to be going at the moment.
And they were
Absolutely.
also like, I'm sure they were eating until they were like fully
Oh, absolutely.
satiated, and not like now doing like 7 meals a day,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
little bites that keep you hungry all the time. That's
Exactly.
literally not appropriate.
And they didn't have mirrors back then too. You know, the only reason that we don't eat to satiety is because this thing called a mirror exists. You know, you can look at it and go, "Oh, I'm not
Yeah.
looking quite as good as I was before I ate
Yeah.
that."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know what do people
That's
eat,
true.
Kit Kat or whatnot. So if there
Good
were no
point.
mirrors back then, of course you're going to eat till as much as you can.
Exactly. Good point. Good point.
I couldn't
Yeah.
help it. Sorry, Mark.
And then if you eat as much as you can, that you're not, and if you eat as much as you can of meat, eggs, and fish, you're not gonna be hungry for a long time after.
Exactly.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
I do find it hysterical, the concept that a lot of people have about eating 6 meals a day, 5 meals a day, because you sit down and just look at it from a logical perspective and go, when would we have been able to do that as a species in any other time frame than in the last couple thousand years?
Exactly. The problem is these people need to. You know, they're so dependent on it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. I mean, it's just a crazy like reality when you step outside and just look at it and go, just look at the logic of what you're doing logically. How does this look 10,000 years ago? How does this look 20,000 years ago? And of course, I know a lot of people will be like, oh, but you know what? Then we shouldn't be driving cars, and then we shouldn't be doing blah blah. And it's like, yeah, I hear that argument. I understand it. But in all reality, the more and more that they discover about our ancestral findings of our genetic DNA, we've not really changed all that much biologically. We have changed physiologically, but not biologically. And a lot of people don't understand the difference in that. They think that because our physical bodies have shifted to be shorter or taller or whatever during any period of time, oh, that means we've changed. Well, it's like, no, actually, our biology has stayed the same. They go back and they do all of these tests and run all of this data on our bones and our teeth and our hair from all of these findings that are significant amounts of times. I'm not going to state a specific time because I don't want to be quoted incorrectly, but beyond written era, right? And our biology is the same.
Yeah. We're
And it's
literally the same as we were like millions of years ago, and we're also 99.9% like everybody. It's 99.9% the same, sharing the same DNA. So like the thing that they say, like, yeah, some people should have a vegan diet, some people should have a balanced diet, some people should be carnivore because we're all different. No, we're not. There's only one proper human diet, and we should all be on it.
And people don't understand that without enough meat, they literally cannot survive. We can't get enough energy from plants in their natural form.
Exactly.
Yeah, people eat a salad and they think they're healthy. They think they're like getting all of this nutrition from a salad. Like, do you know how many kilograms of salad you need to actually get some nutrition if you can even access it? Because you can't even digest it, the fibers. So, like, that's so stupid.
I used to
You can
eat
just eat a steak.
biggest salad possible. I mean, I would eat a salad to the point of like, I can't even tell you, the biggest freaking salad possible.
Me too.
I would be like an hour and a half later, and I'd be like, oh, I'm so hungry. Like, I'm so hungry.
Yeah.
Like, how is it you could eat that much food and still be hungry? Well, because we're not digesting everything from it that we're supposed to be absorbing.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I would eat like over about 2.5 pounds, maybe more, of vegetables per day, plus those sugar-free jellos and you name it. When I was like trying to get super shredded and just like I thought, if I ate enough, I wouldn't be hungry. And even though I was eating all of that, I would be thinking about food all day. I'd be starving. I'd eat a good meal. I'd be thinking about eat a like good sized meal, and then I'm hungry, like basically straight after. It's just
Yeah, because
Yeah,
you're
when I
not getting the nutrients you need.
Exactly.
yeah, when
Exactly.
I was like you, Max, when I did the bro splits and the
Mm.
training in the past, and I was eating 6 meals a day. Like 3 of my meals, I used to have like my main meal, sweet potatoes and chicken and stuff like that. But I used to have like a big bowl of
Yeah.
salad right beside me because I knew that that meal wouldn't fill me, so I needed that volume
Mhm.
to fill
Yeah.
me up. And I was doing that like 3 times a day. I was going through like a bag of spinach with my eggs.
Mhm.
Like every day I was eating vegetables and I was going by the guidelines and eating 5 times a day. And the next day I'd be on the toilet for nearly an hour. I'm like, oh, this is not this is not good. This is
Mhm.
not good. This is not normal. And it's not like you're going to the toilet and it's just like natural. Like you're on the toilet and it's like you're okay, this is not coming out. Okay,
Yeah.
you're 20 minutes later, it's still not coming out. And it's like,
Right.
okay, this is you know what I mean? So it's not like you're in and out. It's like
Mhm.
you're constipated. So
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Uh,
Jesus,
there's
never
so
again.
many there are so many theories on what is the main driver of satiety. Like a lot of people think it's food volume, but like as we know, it's
No.
like eat a kilo of vegetables and eat a kilo of meat. Let's see how full you get and how long you stay full for. And then there are people that believe it's largely about protein. There's a popular
Yeah,
hypothesis called the protein leverage hypothesis,
yeah,
which
yeah.
put simply is you will stay hungry till you've had enough protein. And then my argument to that is okay, well if you have 200 grams, 200 grams worth of protein, so a kilo of farm raised chicken, right, versus pasture raised chicken. The difference in satiety is astounding. So I based on that, I firmly believe that the main driver of satiety is nutrient density, and
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
very
for
clearly
sure.
demonstrated amongst the carnivore community. But most
And
people
the pro
that's not a mainstream view, but we clearly see it demonstrated.
Isn't it
and of
crazy?
course also the fat that comes with the
Yeah.
protein. It's
Hmm.
like
Oh,
if you
exactly.
eat chicken breast, like you're not
Hmm.
gonna be full for long.
Yeah.
Like compared if you ate a steak or like a fatty ground beef or something like that.
Yeah, I think you will continue to stay hungry till your
Yeah.
body has enough of every essential macro and micronutrient. So as we know,
Mm-hmm.
carbohydrates not essential. As long as
Not
you eat a
essential.
meal with enough fat, enough protein, and enough of all the essential micronutrients, which very conveniently we get in this one beautiful food called meat. I think you'll be very satiated and stay satiated.
Isn't that ironic? I mean,
Mm,
it doesn't take. I I I just find it so interesting how it's so simple and it's so black and white as far as
mhm,
like the information as to what's available, and for people to still ignore the value of what is best for us, like you said, everything that we need, every micro and macronutrient that we need is available in this
mhm,
one item. But the common sense aspect of people going, oh, I can look at this information and deduce that this is probably best for me,
mm,
doesn't happen because it doesn't come from every single GP that they walk into at a
yeah,
doctor's office. And it's like it's not
mm,
rocket science, people. It's pretty simple. Like,
And like you said, Selena, like if you look at it from a financial standpoint, like when people want to get everything they need in the standard like American diet, they're buying the supplements. Most people are going to
mhm,
be deficient in say B12 or something like that. They're on a
absolutely.
high vegan diet, so they have to buy more food, and how much of that is going to be wasted? Whereas when
Oh,
you look at the
um,
carnivore lifestyle, do you guys actually waste food at the moment?
oh,
When
almost
you
mostly.
not.
have none
Mm,
at all.
yeah.
Like
No, that's
you
true.
ask the average person who fills up their shopping trolley every week, how much of that goes to waste?
Oh,
Mm,
tons.
I'd half of it goes to waste. So it's a
mhm,
waste. So
Before,
everybody's we're in a world at the moment where everybody's struggling financially, but
mhm,
they're being blindsided to say, you know what, you actually don't need all this shit.
yeah.
Yeah.
exactly.
You don't need it all.
Mhm,
You want to look after your financial situation. Well, then let's get back to reality. Stop looking at food as entertainment, and just
mm,
Yeah,
look at food as just fuel, plain and simple.
mhm.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
also, speaking of like you'll feel more satiated, when you have more nutrient density. Another strong, something else that I see contributes to that argument is if you have the same amount of like very rare meat versus very like well done meat, you'll be a lot more satiated from the very rare meat because you've cooked out less nutrients and whatnot. So I actually think that's another. We were speaking about fat loss earlier with regards to dairy. I actually think that right there is another fat loss tip for people on carnivore. If you cook your meat slightly rarer, you'll find you get fuller quicker and naturally end up eating less just because it's more nutrient dense.
Good point as well.
So that's
Yeah.
something that's kind of a hot topic. Speaking of this part, especially in the carnivore community right now, I'm noticing that there is kind of a little bit of a divide happening between raw carnivore and just carnivore. And I'm noticing that there are a lot of influencers who choose a raw diet who are somewhat kind of attacking those that choose to cook their meat. I think from my perspective, like I agree that yes, the more rare that you're able, the better it is for you. Because like you said, the bioavailability of the nutrients without it being converted through any kind of heat process is most definitely going to be better for us. But what is your stance specifically about whether cooking meat or not cooking meat is an issue or a problem, or is it fine?
Well, yeah, there's absolutely no problem with cooking meat. You do not need to do raw carnivore. When you have raw meat, the arguments in favor of it are there is more nutrient bioavailability. But I mean, you can like no one's running into nutrient deficiencies on carnivore. So is that really an
Right.
issue? Not really. And then when you sear like cook a meat, you're arguably damaging them, denaturing some of it, which then can be inflammatory to the human body and it results in advanced glycation end products forming. But
Right.
I mean, by the same metrics, it's just like, no one was getting sick until we had these ultra processed foods. No one was, like the problem is ultra processed foods. It's not cooking your meat. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So, and for most people, like truthfully, sourcing safe raw meat is kind of difficult. Like, obviously, it can be done, but depending on which country you're from and whatnot, you can't exactly go to your local supermarket and get grain-fed meat and whatnot and be 100% confident it's always going to be safe. So, yes, raw meat may be 100% optimal, but carnivore itself, just cooking your meat, is 99.99%. You're still going to get every nutrient you need. It's still like perfectly fine. I think these raw carnivores, like, the way they go about it is really poor. Like, the goal is to get people on carnivore. If they want to take it raw and whatnot, like, good for you. Yes, you might be 0.1% healthier, or a little bit healthier maybe, but like, just eat meat.
Exactly.
It's down to your preference at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Well,
I think that's me nearly done, guys. So I'll be heading off now shortly. So, Max, it's been a pleasure.
Likewise.
Alessandra, I'll see you very, very soon. Keep killing it on social media. And
Yes.
Selena, I'll be speaking to you very soon.
yes, dear. Much love.
All right.
Speak soon, guys. Bye-bye.
See you later.
Okay, bye.
So I'm probably going to look at this might be a good time for us to cut and run, especially since I'm still having whatever technical difficulties I am still having.
What's that?
I do not know, but this is our first time even trying to like figure out this whole thing with StreamYard and getting it live on multiple locations. So
it's definitely a good idea to use in the long run because the quality on here is so much better, and
Absolutely. So I would say it's a fairly successful run on our first go around. And thank you so much, Max, for being our StreamYard guinea pig.
No worries.
Our first
Glad
one.
to be here.
And hopefully we'll have you on again soon. And I guess I'm going to go ahead and cut us down on this one. So until next time, everybody.
All right.
Alrighty.
Okay, bye, guys.